In a striking revelation that blurs the lines between politics and personal wealth, a recent intelligence report has brought to light the substantial financial holdings of Chinese President Xi Jinping's family, along with a troubling overview of systemic corruption within the Chinese Communist Party (CCP). The report, which underscores the challenges faced by Xi's much-publicized anti-corruption campaign, claims that the assets of Xi's relatives exceed $1 billion, raising questions about the integrity of governance in China. The report indicates that Xi Jinping's siblings, nieces and nephews have amassed a fortune through various business ventures and real estate investments, leveraging their political connections to secure lucrative opportunities. Their high-ranking positions could have provided them with access to privileged information, the report states, suggesting that family investments may have benefited from their ties to influential figures within the party. This observation highlights a significant contradiction in Xi's efforts to combat corruption, as the very individuals tasked with enforcing ethical governance appear to be entangled in questionable financial dealings. Compounding the issue, the report estimates that approximately 65% of government officials in China engage in corrupt practices primarily through bribery. This endemic corruption is attributed to a political system characterized by a lack of independent oversight and limited transparency. Corruption is an endemic feature and challenge for China, enabled by a political system with power highly centralized in the hands of the CCP, the report asserts. Underscoring the systemic nature of the problem that Xi's administration has yet to effectively address. The implications of these findings extend beyond the realm of governance and into the geopolitical landscape. As Xi continues to face criticism for failing to eradicate corruption, the revelations about his family's wealth could further erode public trust and fuel dissent within an already skeptical populace. The report's timing is particularly significant amidst rising tensions between China and the West, where perceptions of corruption could impact China's international standing and relationships. Meanwhile, a separate but equally impactful development has emerged in the realm of global trade. The sale of two strategic ports near the Panama Canal by CK Hutchison Holdings Ltd. to a consortium led by BlackRock Incorporated has sparked a geopolitical firestorm. This deal, which is anticipated to be finalized by April 2, signifies a shift in control from Chinese interests to a U.S.-led consortium, provoking strong backlash from Beijing. Chinese state media has condemned the transaction as a betrayal, reflecting the broader context of U.S. China relations. The sale of these ports, which serve as critical nodes in global shipping, represents not only a business transaction but also a strategic maneuver within the escalating competition for influence between the U.S. and China. The potential loss of control over these assets is viewed by Beijing as a significant blow to its ambition in the region, as it seeks to expand its economic footprint and assert its dominance in global trade. As analysts examine the fallout from both the report on corruption within the Chinese government and the Panama port deal, it is clear that Xi Jinping faces mounting challenges on multiple fronts. The intertwining of personal wealth, governance, and international relations illustrates the complexities of leadership in an increasingly interconnected world. Looking ahead, the ramifications of these developments are likely to reverberate not only within China but also across the global stage. As Xi's administration grapples with internal corruption and external pressures, the potential for significant policy shifts or further crackdowns on dissent cannot be ruled out. The coming months will be crucial in determining how these issues unfold and what they mean for the future of governance and international relations in an era marked by rapid change and scrutiny. A recent intelligence report has unveiled significant revelations regarding the immense wealth of Chinese President Xi Jinping's family, as well as the pervasive corruption endemic within the Chinese Communist Party (CCP). According to the United States intelligence community, Xi's relatives collectively hold assets exceeding $1 billion. Primarily derived from business investments and real estate. This information comes amid ongoing scrutiny of Xi's anti-corruption campaign, which, despite its publicized efforts, appears to have had limited success in curbing systemic graft within the country. The report, part of a broader congressional inquiry into corruption among CCP leadership, highlights that approximately 65% of Chinese government officials are believed to receive illicit income through bribery. This alarming statistic underscores the challenges facing Xi's administration, which has spent over a decade ostensibly targeting corruption but has struggled to dismantle a deeply entrenched culture of graft. The findings assert that the political system in China, characterized by centralized power and a lack of transparency, facilitates corruption, allowing officials and their families to amass considerable wealth. Notably, the report emphasizes that Xi Jinping's immediate family has leveraged their political connections to enhance their financial interests in both state-owned and private enterprises. Their high-ranking positions could have provided them with access to privileged information, and both private and state-run enterprise activities might have benefited family investments due to their associations with people in political authority, the document states. This connection between wealth accumulation and political power raises questions about the integrity of Xi's anti-corruption initiatives. In addition to the wealth of Xi's family, the report also sheds light on the broader implications of corruption within the CCP. The intelligence assessment describes corruption as an endemic feature of governance in China, one that poses a significant challenge to the ruling party's legitimacy. While Xi's anti-corruption efforts have led to the investigation of millions of officials, critics argue that these campaigns often serve more to enforce political loyalty than to genuinely address the root causes of corruption. As this report circulates, it could complicate diplomatic efforts between the United States and China. The relationship between both nations has been strained over various issues, including trade tensions, territorial disputes in the South China Sea, and differing political ideologies. The timing of this report may hinder President Donald Trump's attempts to engage meaningfully with Xi Jinping, as it paints a picture of a leadership embroiled in wealth and corruption, potentially undermining Xi's standing both domestically and internationally. The findings also resonate with current geopolitical dynamics, particularly as China faces external scrutiny from various quarters. The perception of widespread corruption within the CCP could embolden critics of the regime both within China and abroad, further complicating Xi's position as he navigates both internal and external challenges. Looking ahead, it remains to be seen how Xi Jinping will respond to these revelations, especially as they cast a shadow over his legacy and the credibility of his anti-corruption drive. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the implications of this report may influence not only domestic policy but also China's interactions with the global community, shaping the narrative around governance and accountability in one of the world's most powerful nations. In an era marked by geopolitical tension and shifting economic landscapes, the Wall Street Journal is on the lookout for a skilled reporter to cover the intricacies of the Chinese economy. This opportunity arises at a critical juncture as the Chinese economy grapples with the repercussions of a 40-year growth spurt that now confronts new challenges, including a property market crisis, a declining population, and increasing political friction with the United States. The role seeks to capture the nuances of this complex narrative, particularly as the Trump administration's America First policies reshape international trade dynamics. The WSJ's job listing highlights the pressing need for insightful reporting as the economic showdown between China and the U.S. intensifies. The potential reporter will delve into the ramifications of shifting supply chains, as many Western businesses are hastily relocating production away from China to mitigate the impact of U.S. tariffs. This transition not only affects the Chinese economy but has broader implications for global commerce as trade barriers rise and nations align themselves with either Washington or Beijing. The ideal candidate will possess robust analytical capabilities, enabling them to interpret economic statistics and trade data while also weaving compelling narratives from real-world experiences. We are looking for someone who can bring these stories to life through the lens of real people and real businesses, the listing states, underscoring the importance of humanizing the economic data to grasp the full impact of these changes. As the Chinese government under Xi Jinping pursues ambitious industrial policies aimed at overtaking the U.S. economically, the landscape is fraught with uncertainty. The Wall Street Journal emphasizes the need for a reporter who can navigate this evolving scene, working closely with international bureaus to ensure timely and comprehensive coverage of how China's pivot influences the global stage. The task is not merely to report the news but to lead discussions on how these economic shifts resonate worldwide. The urgency of this role is underscored by the backdrop of Donald Trump's return to the White House, which has elicited both hope and apprehension in China. Following the bruising trade wars of his first term, Chinese officials are wary of the economic fallout that could arise from renewed tariffs and aggressive trade policies. "What I can see is that China's economy is not very good at the moment," remarked a Beijing resident, reflecting the prevailing sentiment of uncertainty among the populace. This precarious situation is further complicated by domestic challenges such as high youth unemployment and substantial local government debt. Moreover, the ripple effects of the trade war continue to deter foreign investment in China, pushing companies to explore alternative markets like Vietnam. As the Chinese economy seeks stability, the potential for a new trade conflict looms large, placing additional pressure on its fragile recovery. In this context, the WSJ's quest for a dedicated China economics reporter not only reflects the growing importance of understanding the intricacies of China's economic landscape but also highlights the need for nuanced reporting in an increasingly polarized world. The selected candidate will play a pivotal role in shedding light on the evolving dynamics between two of the world's largest economies, offering insights that could shape business strategies and geopolitical policies alike. As we look ahead, the implications of these developments will undoubtedly reverberate across global markets. The fate of the Chinese economy, intertwined with the broader geopolitical landscape, will continue to be a focal point for both businesses and policymakers. The WSJ's commitment to covering this critical intersection of economics and international relations signals a proactive approach to navigating the complexities of the modern economic environment. Future reporting will not only inform stakeholders but also contribute to a deeper understanding of how these forces will shape our world in the years to come. As the geopolitical landscape shifts with increasing intensity, recent developments underscore China's ambitions and its growing assertiveness in the Indo-Pacific region. Amid a backdrop of heightened military activity and a fraught relationship with the United States, President Xi Jinping's administration appears to be testing the resolve of U.S. allies while simultaneously solidifying its own power. A newly released annual threat assessment from the U.S. intelligence community has marked China as the foremost military threat to American interests, particularly emphasizing its coercive strategies against Taiwan and its expansive cyber operations targeting U.S. infrastructure. Beijing's increasing pressure on Taiwan and its aggressive cyber tactics represent a clear escalation of threats to U.S. national security, the report states, highlighting a pattern of behavior that aligns with Xi's broader military strategy. In response to these growing threats, the U.S. has moved to strengthen its position by imposing export controls on several Chinese technology firms, including over 50 companies accused of seeking advanced U.S. technology for military applications. This decision has elicited a sharp rebuke from Beijing, with Chinese officials labeling the measures as unjust and an infringement on international laws. The Foreign Ministry's spokesperson asserted, "This action seriously violates international law and undermines the security and stability of global supply chains." China firmly opposes and strongly condemns this. The geopolitical chess match is further complicated by military maneuvers in the region. In recent months, the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy Plan has engaged in notable maritime exercises that not only showcase its military might but also serve as a stark warning to its regional adversaries. In a bold display, the plan conducted live-fire exercises in the Tasman Sea, a strategic location that lies near the shores of Australia and New Zealand. This unprecedented action is perceived as a direct message to these U.S. allies, signaling China's readiness to project power far beyond its immediate waters. Xi's administration has also conducted joint naval exercises with allies such as Russia and Iran, reinforcing its strategic partnerships while countering Western influence. These drills, particularly the Maritime Security Belt 2025 exercise in the Gulf of Oman, illustrate China's intent to bolster its naval presence in critical waterways, further asserting its role as a dominant player in maritime security. Social media commentary in China has celebrated these military displays, reflecting a nationalistic fervor that positions China as a counterbalance to U.S. military presence in the region. The motivations behind China's aggressive military posturing are multifaceted. Domestically, she faces a precarious economic situation where growth has stalled. This context amplifies the need for the government to rally public support through displays of strength both militarily and ideologically. By projecting power abroad, she aims to reinforce his leadership and distract from internal challenges. As the situation evolves, the U.S. finds itself in a delicate position. The Trump administration is reportedly preparing for a new wave of tariff hikes set to escalate the ongoing trade war, which could further strain U.S. China relations. Trump's focus on domestic priorities contrasts sharply with Xi's international assertiveness, creating a dynamic fraught with tension. The U.S. response to China's military exercises has been notably muted, reflecting a calculated restraint amid reassessments of military strategies in light of China's growing capabilities. Looking ahead, the interplay of military might, economic competition, and diplomatic maneuvering suggests a complex future for U.S.-China relations. The next steps taken by both nations, especially in the context of Taiwan, will likely be pivotal in shaping the geopolitical landscape of the Indo-Pacific region. As Xi Jinping continues to navigate both domestic pressures and international challenges, the world watches closely. Aware that the stakes have never been higher, the recent escalation in tensions between the United States and China has reached a new chapter as trade envoys from both nations engaged in their first video call since President Donald Trump's return to the White House. This meeting, which took place on March 26, 2025, was marked by a candid exchange of concerns regarding each country's trade policies. Both sides acknowledged the importance of maintaining stable economic relations amidst a climate laden with uncertainties and rising tariffs. During the call, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer and Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng discussed several contentious issues. He expressed China's serious concerns over U.S. tariffs imposed under the pretext of addressing fentanyl trafficking and the 301 investigation into China's trade practices. He emphasized that the imposition of these tariffs was detrimental to bilateral relations, stating that maintaining a stable Sino-U.S. economic and trade relationship is in the interests of both countries. Greer reciprocated by voicing apprehensions about China's trade practices, describing them as unfair and anti-competitive. The meeting is significant not only for its content but also for its context. It arrives at a time when both countries are grappling with domestic pressures and international perceptions. The U.S. intelligence community recently released its annual threat assessment, labeling China as the foremost military threat to U.S. national security. The report outlined Beijing's coercive actions against Taiwan and extensive cyber operations targeting U.S. interests, painting a picture of a nation increasingly assertive in its global ambitions. In response to these allegations, China characterized the U.S. report as exaggerated and biased, asserting that it has no intentions of surpassing or replacing any nation. This exchange highlights the fraught dynamics of U.S.-China relations, where trade security and geopolitical strategy intersect in increasingly complex ways. Amidst the diplomatic tension, there remains a bright spot in the U.S.-China relationship, particularly at the subnational level. Alaska has emerged as a critical player, with its exports to China reaching record highs of over $6 billion annually. The state's leading export categories, including seafood and minerals, have made it heavily reliant on the Chinese market. In light of this, Alaska established a trade office in Beijing as early as 2002, though it was closed in 2017. Nevertheless, Alaskan companies continue to navigate the tricky waters of U.S.-China trade relations, promoting their interests while complying with national policies. The importance of trade ties is further underscored by Alaska's growing tourism industry, with efforts to attract more Chinese visitors gaining momentum. This dual focus on commerce and cultural exchange, alongside the state's long-standing sister relations with Heilongjiang Province, exemplifies how local economies can foster connections even when national policies diverge. As the geopolitical landscape evolves, China's military posture also presents a growing concern for the U.S. The recent military drills conducted by the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy plans serve as a testament to Beijing's commitment to demonstrating its strength. Various exercises including live-fire drills in the Tasman Sea and joint naval operations with Russia and Iran have drawn significant attention, reflecting China's strategic ambitions and its intent to assert dominance in critical maritime regions. As the Biden administration grapples with these multifaceted challenges, the path forward remains uncertain. With Trump poised to influence the direction of U.S. China relations in his second term, both nations will need to balance competitive ambitions with cooperative necessities. The stakes have never been higher as the world's two largest economies navigate a complex interplay of diplomacy, trade, and military might. The outcomes of these relations will likely shape not only the economic landscape but also the geopolitical order for years to come.